Excuse me. I am a little sick, so you guys are gonna have to mind me. Um, I hope that everyone is having a beautiful and blessed day today. If not, it's not too late to turn that around. You know how it goes. We're going to jump straight into it. Now, I wanted to do the breakdown of basically the TV show Evil and the downloads that I see from it and how I can contribute to you guys in a way of giving my download. Now, one of the very first things that I noticed about this situation. Hi. Yeah. What's up? Now, the very first thing that I basically noticed about this TV show was how much demonic influence is actually going on around the world. How much on our day-to-day lives that we are actually participating within their influences, their forces, their mastery, and we're not as aware. You know what I mean? And it's like we're going about life thinking that we're necessarily pure, but we're not as pure as we're not as pure as we think we are. We're more corrupted. It's more corruption. And I say this to say it's like it takes for you to first come to the realization of it, understand and accept it, and figure out how we can necessarily change it. It's not to turn a blind eye towards it. It's not to go about your daily lives in a robotic type of way. And when it comes to experiencing this realm, because yes, it's a realm of a playground, but it's full of, I'm hearing in my head, hellish things, you know? And so one of the very first downloads that I received was about evaluating your children. Now, there are a lot of children within this world, as we know, and they all have their own different type of personalities, and even down to what they consider personality disorders and different things like that. You have your feels of ADHD. You have just these different things that they're constantly throwing on children, you know? And a lot of times, a lot of things that they prescribe to these children is to block their third eye. A lot, like, there's two different sides to it. Of course, we know that there's duality to everything. You have them trying to block the chosen and the gifted children, and then you have them turning a blind eye to the children who genuinely need help in a matter of a spiritual matter, basically. On the episode that I received this download on, they were basically prescribing hella medication to a child who was experiencing a demonic possession. You have people who study demonology. You have people who go into these type of fields for this very reason of trying to bring more awareness to the real world about just how much demonic influence placed upon us. You know what I mean? And it's like, one of the things that one of the priests said on there that stuck out to me, he said, you know, when priests get to speaking about politics and different things like that, worldly controversial topics, getting involved with the world, it's cool. But as soon as they get to speaking about demonic possessions and entities and spiritual matters and angels and different things like that, the world becomes all tense and like it's almost like forbidden to be spoken about. But then you have to break down the concept of why. You know what I mean? Why is it being hidden so much? Why is it such a uneasy topic to bring up in the day-to-day's conversation when it's going on in the day-to-day's time? You know what I mean? So that was just something that I received, and for anyone, it's like it just evaluates your children more, understand your child, understand what your child is going through on a spiritual level, understand the concept of that they are battling just as much as we're battling, like their own vessels, they're their own entity, they're their own being. And so if we're not attentive in that space of genuinely understanding, again, who they are on a spiritual level, where their soul resides and lie, are they more tainted with temptation in this worldly, like have they been corrupted in a way of their vibration is so low to where they become like a more lower level demonic entity, or even sometimes allowing their vessel to be slipped and used in a way of allowing their mental space to be toyed with to make them do things they wouldn't do. They know, like parents, I mean, like children killing their parents, children killing their siblings, like children killing themselves. You know what I mean? It's like you really have to break down the genuine concept of what the hell is really going on. People will be like, oh, that child was, for instance, getting bullied at school. That was the cause and effect of why that happened. But what if something had been attached and tied to that child since birth? What if something had been manipulated in the energy to continue to break that child's mind down to that state and matter? What then? And then it's like everyone turns the blind eye to that concept, but then stick to the worldly deep perception. And it's like, no, you can't accept the 3D without breaking down the spiritual perspective of it as well. And I know that it takes a matter of understanding this, but it also takes a matter of wanting to understand it. It also takes a matter of wanting to study certain things, wanting to take notes of certain things, wanting to actually take the time out to do it. And for each is his own within that matter, you know? It's just best for me not to pay attention to the chat at this point. Okay, so it's like, again, this whole concept of this show speaks about evil and the duality of evil and what's truly evil and what's not. Demonic possession and the effect on crime. Nobody takes the time to actually evaluate that concept of it. How these energy play with the frequencies of the planet to push us to a lower vibration. And once we're all as a collective within this lower vibration, say for instance, you're someone who you pretty much you can handle yourself as far as understanding the full concept of maybe spirituality or yourself, or even chakras, little simple things here and there, little small things, how to cleanse your energy, different things like that, right? You are at a certain vibration that has the fluctuation of being able to move up or down, meaning that even if you go down, you know how to bring yourself back up, right? So within the collective, within the mass, within the whole planet, they are sending out these frequency waves of, not only are they sending out frequency waves, but we are on a dimensional plane that's merged with other dimensional planes, meaning that at any point that these entities, beings, identities wanted to open up portals to enter this realm, they can, and they do. And so it's like that. It's like understanding the full concept of just how much that happens, and just how much all of these different beings within this planet manipulating the matter to conquer over us, right? And if we have been the ones who have not been aware, we have been the ones who have turned a blind eye to the supernatural sci-fi type of shit, but it's still going in front of our faces, then definitely they're gonna conquer over us. And they do. And so again, to top that up, it's just being more mindful of different concepts of prescriptions being prescribed different things, prescribing your children different things, actually break down the side effects of things, actually break down the way the pros and the cons of things. Listen to yourself, listen to your intuition, listen to your higher guidance, tap back into that spiritual essence inside of yourself, because I know a lot of us are dealing with health issues at this time, and a lot of us are being pushed into like the pharmaceutical perspective of it even stronger now more than ever. And it's like we have to put a halt on a lot of things of just saying yes, yes, yes to things, you know what I mean? And just taking the time out to actually learn and study certain things, you know, for the better growth of self. It matters. And it's like, it says, will they believe in you? And it reminded me of the movie Constantina. But basically, like, it doesn't matter if you believe in evil or not. It doesn't matter if you believe in these beings or not. It doesn't matter if you believe in the things that are going on with this world. It's still going on. So if you're that person that chooses to turn that blind eye to that concept of that, continue to be a puppet to it. But the ones who genuinely want to grow, expand, you feel me, you hear me, you here with me. It's like some of the things that I broke down as far as what these energies are tied to when it comes to like the crimes. It's like it's the RAPE crimes, murder crimes, suicidal, like I mentioned, baby blues is a big one, domestic violence as well, narcissistic disorders. Like when you actually people do genuinely throw the concept of narcissism around so easily, because yes, we all have traits of being of can be narcissists, you know what I mean? That means to have some type of like, if I can break this down from my own point of view, it's like to have some type of, it's wanting a sense of power and control over, it's like wanting to be someone's god. Basically, you want to be a god in someone's life to the point where you are willing to manipulate everything around them to work in your power, even if that means to disarm their power, you know? And so a true narcissistic person, a true narcissistic entity, that is someone who is completely inhabited by a demonic force, meaning that that person has no type of ability to feel, because it was never in their nature to have an empathic ability to this world. They are an entity that has inhabited a vessel. That's it. That's all. So when they literally say you're dating a demon, that's not that concept is thrown around for play to the point where no one, I'm not gonna say no one, a lot of people does not genuinely understand the full concept of what it is and what it means to date someone who is inhabited by a demonic force. It's a book out there called The 53 Rules of Dominance that they spoke about. And this is kind of how they plant in the minds, and they begin to have people mimic their narcissistic behavior by basically putting books like this out here to where it teaches you how to have dominance and power over humans, and how to mind fuck people to get your way, to rise up in power, evil. And it's like people, it's funny, people gain a sense of power through knowledge all the time. The most knowledgeable people, a lot of knowledgeable people, I should say, people who have access to hidden knowledge, sacred knowledge, different things like that, it gives you this sense of high and this power over the superior of your others, because you naturally know more. So it's again with the duality of choosing what to do with that information, you know, and People choose to use it in a bad way. People choose to, in which we do it unconsciously, consciously. I want to break down the concept of like, hey, I wanted to break down the concept of high priestess, right? High priestess, one capable of a rank with premonitions to see above, and also the ability to evoke, right? That's the concept that I received from it. One capable of and ranked with permission to see, basically. Someone who has God eye, someone who literally has the God eye, and I don't feel like the concept of high priestess is actually broken down enough as well, and genuinely someone embodying that energy of understanding that you literally have the God eye to see all. Someone who is gifted to see everything on this realm. That is beautiful. You know what I mean? Anyone who is ranked to that level, that's beautiful. And you should definitely use it to your ability and to your power. It says the woman who blew the beach ball to hear God. What I took from this was like, they kind of took her for a joke because she was like a daycare teacher, and she was blowing up a beach ball to basically be able to hear God whenever she wanted to give them a message. And that's just a prime example of people are always trying to define and put an energy on God. That people are always trying to tell God who he is supposed to be, how he is supposed to show up, who he is supposed to be. Only those who truly hear God understand the concept of the woman who blew the beach ball hear God. And for the ones who don't truly understand the concept, it's about being able to have the power to get quiet enough to hear God. It's about being able to have the power to look foolish enough in the presence of others when God is speaking, when God is calling you. You get what I'm saying? And it's also the power in being able to use different techniques to communicate with God. The next one for me was the little boy who tried to drown his baby sister. He was possessed. His parents killed him. This story stuck with me and it touched my heart because they were trying to evaluate the little boy to figure out whether he was truly under a demonic possession or was he just had a psychotic disorder or was something genuinely wrong with him from the physical perspective. And in the mix of them finding out that, okay, after the little boy drowned his baby sister, or he tried to drown her, but the priest ended up saving her, it's like they was like, okay, we're gonna do it. And on the way to the house, they ended up finding out that the parents in the process killed the little boy, right? And so the reason why this story touched me the absolute most is because it's the concept of, again, in the beginning, I said, I think he did a godly act for the devil. So it's the concept of they felt that their son was tainted and evil, and they allowed their emotional state of what the child had done to override to override the logical perspective of what could have been going on, because that was why they called them in the first place, is because at this point, is it something else? Is something in my son? You know what I'm saying? And so it was the energy of, again, how trickster this energy is, how it can manipulate forces around you and jump from person to person to complete its mission and goal. And that's exactly what it did. The parents no longer attach themselves with their little boy. You know what I mean? They had no impacted connection to the little boy. They had no empathy towards the fact that their son had been inhabited by a demonic force, that they potentially even played a part in why he was inhabited by a demonic force, top of all of the prescriptions that they were prescribing him. And so thinking that you did something, a godly act, you thinking that she said, when another one of her children is in danger, she has to act even if it's against the other child. It's just sad to see how much that these energies are not winning because they would never win, but how much of a force factor that they actually have. And again, these simple crimes, because you have to think about the perspective that a police officer is not looking at it at the high degree of a level of a demonologist, and a lawyer / psychiatrist who is alongside helping someone who is a demonologist and in the process of becoming a priest. You get what I'm saying? So you have a regular day-to-day cop who is dealing with a mother just snapped and potentially killed her child. That's all they see it as, you know? But there are unseen forces that understand the true nature of what's going on, that are actually studying these same cases in a different way. It's all about your perspective and your reality of what you're seeing. You had a case of the possessed woman dying from possession. So basically with this situation, the woman was going through an exorcism, and once the exorcism began, you cannot stop it. So it doesn't matter what's necessarily going on with the person, you can't stop it, you have to allow it to go through. And so the woman was basically dehydrated, had not eaten anything, and they were trying to figure out whether the woman should get a doctor, or whether she should see a doctor, whether the church should continue what they're doing. And with this perspective, it's the concept of, from a worldly perspective, yes, you would think that she should see a doctor, or that she should get a doctor, because she is dying from starvation and dehydration, right? And in the process of why this episode was going on, I'm kind of like, well, damn, I'm a little bit on the psychiatrist side, because I get the concept that even though the church sees it in a certain way, what if she genuinely needs help and she could die from this? Because there are cases where they have died from these type of situations of going through an exorcism because of different reasons that they will then say is because, which naturally it is because of the demonic presence attached to the person. But at the same time, it was shedding light to, can the church do something better about the way, their style of how they necessarily deal with these situations. They were basically shedding light to the fact that it was outdated, that their style and the way that they do things is very outdated. You have to go back to the original time frame of the church and how it started and the sinistery around it. You know what I mean? And so it's like understanding the true concept of the reality perspective of all of these things, you know? Yes, this is just a TV show, but is it really just a TV show? Also, another concept that I picked up within this situation was that they're disinterested when they don't like you. The entities are disinterested when they don't like you, meaning that they have some type of intrigueness to your spiritual aura. They genuinely probably like you. And they're like, it's mind-blowing, because it's like they're naturally doing their job of what they're supposed to do. Everything is in alignment, everything is in place at the same time as well. It's like God allowing the devil to just work and do his dues. God allowing the devil to maybe even cleanse this world in a sense through evil, through the acts of evil, through the rising of it's like the concept I said to myself earlier. I was like, demons rise and angels fall. Demons rise and angels fall. Demons have the ability to rise, entities have the ability to rise, and angels have the ability to fall. They can and they do, and vice versa as well. And so when understanding that concept, can a high rank demon bring themselves to a level of becoming a high ranked angel, becoming one who sits high next to God? The power in that. Is this what they mean when they say shadow, when they speak about our shadow side, our shadow self? That hidden force within you, that shadow. When you think about a shadow, entity, like, they always depict entities as like black forces, right? A black force, the in depths of a black force is like a void. A void is a dark space that eventually intertwines with the light. Entities, demonic forces, or voids are just an empty space occupied, within an empty space. The mastery of not being able to feel or even necessarily truly be on any plane. Does it really exist? Wow, as I'm saying this, in my notes it says nothing is evil. They also spoke about sigils, right? And in a lot of these cases that was going on, there were sigils hidden in different areas. Like on the case with the parent with the little that's not the same case actually. But basically they had the sigils hidden in different places, and these were being able to open up these portals, being able to access, being able to allow, it's like placing a symbol in a certain area or a certain place to allow demonic lower vibrational entities, forces, or a certain literal, it's like summoning a certain demonic force. They spoke about the 60. This whole series was about the 60. And it was breaking down how they had this mass influence over the world. I guess the 60, the fallen angels, fallen to an extent. Or would they be fallen, or would they be versions of it? Because again, there's so many different versions of things. They also spoke about how they were basically put in, how they, and I can personally testify for this because my son takes a medication that has the side effect of suicidal side effects, and that was something that I had an issue with. But it's basically putting people on suicidal medication because it's cheaper. You are prescribing people that has the side effect of being able to cause a person to end their life because it's cheaper. It's like the system is more responsible or equally responsible. It's controlled and puppeted by the entity. The system is the entity. The matrix is it's the entity. It's the entities. It's their world. It's not our world. It's their world. They also shedded light on how therapists are basically training mass killers. They're training. It's like basically.
Thanks for making my day with your haze.
Which is something I already knew, but it made it so much. It made so much more sense because it was a space of like, yes, they are governmental people who are placed in certain areas to help cause experimental purpose. Say, for instance, doctors. And the doctors, when it comes to psychiatrists, when it comes to teachers, when it comes to corporations, when it comes to these mass big corporations, it doesn't matter what it is. There are people planted inside of everything, right? And so what they shed a light on is the fact that there are certain psychiatrists who are training people who are already mentally ill they're training them to be what's the word for it? Weapons. They're training them to be weapons. They're training them to go back out into the world and kill, literally. It's very discomforting when you think about it. And then they turn around and blame it on the concept of the YT weird kid that was getting bullied in school. No, it's so much deeper than that. It said mind control, send them out into the world. They're mind controlling them and then sending them. It's the same concept with the Charles Manson. That's what happened with Charles Manson. That man was MK Ultra and brought back into the society as an experiment for experimental purposes, a mass occult. Who else can do that? Y'all think that these governmental officials and people are not behind this stuff? They definitely are. And who's behind them? Who's behind the mass of the mass? Who is the puppet mastery? And who's behind the puppet mastery then too, you know? It was like it was like a man who wanted power. This is within the same storyline as well. A man who wanted power. He prepped himself to a church of all women, all black women. Not black women. I don't know if I just said that. That's actually super weird. And maybe that happened. And I'm going to look that up because I think something like that did occur. Or minority were black people. But basically, the psychiatrist manipulated his mind to go and do this, right? He ended up accidentally taking himself out. Process of going to go do it. Again, the psychiatrist within here has he's narcissistic. He's inhabited by what he calls Satan himself. He sold his soul over. He sold his vessel so that Satan can inhabit his vessel and walk this realm, right? So this is the man of Satan, basically, the puppet mastery behind all of this, everything. He's the puppet mastery behind it all. But it also showed the power in God as well, because the man ended up offing himself before he could even touch this church. It's like God will allow the devil to come up with this mastermind plan just to ruin it in the end. Help him come up with it. Orchestrate things to help align for him, work for him in certain ways, just to then teach perspectives in the process of eliminating it. And when I say God, I look at it like light, the sorcery of light. The ability is like Ra and Va. It's the concept of off of Avatar. No, it isn't Avatar actually. It's the Legend of Korra. The Legend of Korra. Basically, where Ra and the beginning, the storyline of it was they was intertwined. Light and darkness was intertwined with each other. They did this dance, right? And the first Avatar, he ended up coming upon Ra and Va and thought that Ra was trying to, well, actually, at this point, what they mean by they did this dance, it was light always being able to have that control over the darkness, right? But the first Avatar unleashed that darkness he unleashed Va onto the world, right? Once he did this, evil was able to reign over for a certain amount of, like, a period of time, and the light was always trying to catch back up with the darkness, trying to catch the darkness, to basically be able to intertwine again, to do that dance again of balance and duality of how it's genuinely supposed to be. And so overall, I feel that we are definitely moving into a time frame, yes, where the worlds are going to be merged, where the worlds are already merging, and where in the end, light wins in a way of being able to balance out the darkness, not conquer over the darkness, because you can never do that. In the beginning, that's why the light can never catch up with the darkness, because the light was trying to conquer over the darkness and feeling that it did not need it. It needed to be kept in like tamed. You know what I mean? But it's not. Is it genuinely supposed to be like that? In order for darkness to even fully experience itself, in order for darkness to even fully shed itself, it has to experience, it has to go through it. We have to go through the evolving state of even darkness. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It's about the timelines that you're necessarily jumping to and jumping on. When you enter a different world, when you shift to a different reality, things are different. The perspective of things are different. The vibration of things are higher. So even if you have, say for instance, you have 5 levels of light and darkness, that first level of light and darkness is dense. That second level of light and darkness may be dense but not as dense. That third level of darkness is dim. That fourth level of darkness is dim but lightening up, and that fifth level is light. You get what I'm saying? So it's the energy of, just because there is a certain void of a certain experience of darkness does not mean that there are not light perspectives to that darkness. The world is weird. I also wanted to tap into like these YouTube videos and things like that. They were basically shedding light on the fact that there are like a lot of subliminal tones within a lot of these things that people are watching, that kids are watching on YouTube, and there are subliminally shooting things within their mental space and their mind to get them to do certain things or whatever. And that's uneasy within itself, because I know a lot of people, technology is the rise, you know what I mean? And a lot of kids are well within the technology age, and I know that they've been doing this to us for a very long time. But again, there are certain levels to certain things. There are certain dimensions and certain planes that we visit, that we have the ability to visit. And so there are certain areas where people are literally experiencing things like this, just because like, again, you are in a certain reality that this does not occur does not mean that there is not a reality where this type of thing is not occurring. And so it's almost like touching all bases of it, being able to reach all people, being able to understand all people, understand what people are genuinely going through, all levels, not turning a blind eye to the evil, not turning your nose to what's the effects of how evil plays a part within this world on a day-to-day basis, every single day. Matthew 13 verse 25. Evil can be mixed evil can be mixed in with good, making it hard to distinguish. Evil can be mixed in with good, making it hard to distinguish. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. Again, tying into the concept, creating videos to then have a subliminal message in there to get the child to commit horrendous acts or even do something to themselves. And this stuff is actually occurring, and they're actually succeeding in it. So again, understanding that evil can lie in places where you do not think evil reeks. Beating the demon, meeting the beast, right? It's funny that they have this in here because I personally experienced this. I used to tell you guys about how the storyline with Beyonce and how she used to kind of hunt me in my dreams, and she used to like literally like be able to do things to me, make me eat things, like lay my body down, and like was doing like chants over me, different things like this. And I would have these different dreams, and I would always be afraid a little bit when I would wake up. Like, it wouldn't be like a real fear, but it would be a sense of fear of like, dang, like when would it happen again? And I know that I can't control it, so that's where the fear perspective went in at. The very last time we ever experienced in this dream, I stabbed her, if I'm not mistaken. I think I just attacked her. I was attacking her multiple times. But there was a different situation where I was in a dream loop, and I eventually stabbed the entity in order for me to get out, right? So beating the demon in your sleep, being able to master that level of beating that energy, right? At that point is when you meet the beast. He's who is in control. I heard Legion in my head. After so long of me not having any dreams about her, I end up having a dream about a white man in a white suit. And he was kind of like, I remember I just kept saying to him, leave me alone. I kept repeating it over and over again, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. And then I heard him speak, and he was like, he asked me, did I know who he was? He's like, do you know who I am? And he's like, do you know who I am? And I said, yeah, you're the white devil. And I remember repeating over and over again, Ronald Reagan, right? I know that excuse me, I know that that's his own rabbit hole within itself. But this made me come to the realization that I have met the beast. And I also did not come. Anytime I feel like someone don't want me telling this, they don't want me getting this out. But in the process of me, after I met, oh my gosh, just give me a second. Yeah. My throat chakra. Allow me to speak clearly, effectively, the way that I need to get this message across. I don't allow anything to interfere with me at this time. Okay, so after I encountered and met the beast, I did not realize how to shit my life actually went. I didn't realize how this energy was moving the board. It's almost like you're on a board that everything is in place, right? And then out of nowhere, something just gets to like spinning it really, really fast, right? Destroying everything in the process of it spinning. Everything's getting knocked down left to right, right to left, right? And I can just see this entity having fun in the process of spinning this, right? And like being able to master and manipulate this world, my world, in its favor to do what it wants, right? A lot of times people are not realizing just how much that they are dealing with their demons, how we're dealing with demons on a day-to-day basis. And after you reach a certain level of being able to conquer over that demon, being able to conquer over the entities, being able to understand the simplified versions of spirituality and how these entities work, and not being afraid of them, the beast presents himself to you. What's funny about the beast though is that the beast is there to show you. It shows you a version of yourself, a version of what you could be, a literal beast, right? If people are not aware of this, if people are not aware of when your beast comes to meet you, and I say your, because everyone has a God and everyone has a devil. Who's your God? Who's your devil? In your reality version of your world that it can only be. Even if we all wanted to see the same God and devil, we can't. And you know why? Because those versions are literal, the highest and lowest version of yourself. A lot of times, the manipulation of the universe will orchestrate things. A lot of physical beasts to come within and orchestrate things to bring out the inner beast within you. That's the soul and whole purpose of it. Have life ever been kicking your ass so much to the point where one day you just like enough, you just fed up? Everyone fed up point is different. If you were never able to control or even pay attention to that beast within you, when that beast comes out, it's going to come out in a way of uncontrollable. You're going to be probably, some people snap, like they literally snap. Some people do it in a way of power, being able to tame that inner beast within you. Like, I know it's there and I know what I can do, but I'm going to use that beast within me to move within this world the way that I need to for me, but also in the space of understanding why that beast is there in the first place. You know what I mean? And the reason why it's there in the first place is to show you that it exists and the capability and the power of what it can do, and how you literally need it the same way that you need God. That's as real as it can get. And never forgetting that there is a literal beast. Meaning that there is a literal representation of a physical version of a beast. But there is a symbolic spiritual version of our beast within us as well. I'm not ignoring you, Nina. No, I'm going to get to all of your comments in a second. I thank anyone who stayed for this long as well. Much love to all of you. Okay, this one was super interesting to me too, because it was like the pregnant woman who believed one twin was possessed in the womb, the devil inside of me. And it also, basically, that one of the twins at the end of the episode ended up eating the other twin, right? So this brings me to this really concept, and it makes me kind of think about Cain and Abel a little bit. Even down to one being able to destroy the other in the womb. They're two entities coming and being enemies within the womb and fighting to see who's going to stay. Sometimes both are born and one twin comes out and they're like more corrupted than the other twin. But even within that concept, is there duality within that as well? Because is that the true representation of duality? Is that the literal true representation of duality as far as how it came about in the first place? Also, it broke down a concept of how a fetus, they always have all these different weird movies about how the fetus is like coming out of the mother and it was like a demon baby and different things like this, whatever. But like, what's the literal truth of that? Can someone like be pregnant and basically that, like, it's a possession, meaning that the baby was not always corrupted. Something in the process of while that mother was conceiving and while that mother was going along within her pregnancy, something transpired and caused the fetus to be possessed, which then causes the fetus to be born in that possessed state. What attached itself to the fetus? Can entities attach themselves to fetuses? And then there are so many concepts of twins, one twin eating the other. Like, what is the real spiritual force behind that? You know, what's the real spiritual breakdown behind that? Yeah. The last one was like all cases. All of these cases was connected to a fertility company, a freaking fertility company. Again, Matthew 13, verse 25. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. What better way to corrupt this planet? What better way to continue and continuously allow these entities here and to corrupt this planet than to get to the literal seed and like the womb, the mother, the woman, the womb. They are attacking our womb, y'all. Imagine okay, yeah. Imagine a little boy who tried to drown his baby sister. The woman who was possessed and dying from possession and dehydration. What else was it? The cases with the I didn't really tap into a lot of them, but basically every last one of these cases was connected. Like all of these horrendous crimes that had occurred in their own separate way, even years after, like, these people went to this facility for whatever reason, the domino effect and how things played its part out was all connected to this. So it's like, imagine that. Imagine not even knowing how none of these cases were in correlation with each other to anyone besides the ones who genuinely understood the concept of energy and how these entities are maneuvering. Every freaking thing is connected. Do not think nothing is connected. Yes, everything is connected. Especially if it's put in your face, why is it not connected? Anything that you see, anything that you hear, yes. Even the things that's unseen. Yeah, with it. Gone. You know, so when they bring a lot of these things to the limelight, I feel like that's just them exposing everything and them playing their movie of how they do things as far as like they've been already arrested all these people. They've been like, okay, nobody knows this. People don't remember when the guillotines was. People probably do remember when the guillotines was coming out, and people were like recording them, basically, travel these things back and forth across the states and stuff like that, right? People know that was for them. A lot of these people they've already dealt with. There's like galactic, like our governmental it's no longer 3D. It's no longer worldly. It's more so galactic. It's like I'm hearing in my head War of the Worlds. I'm hearing in my head Guardian of the Galaxies. Is literally like Guardian of the Galaxies. It's like there are forces that have already came and taken over. There are governmental forces like governmental forces that are in charge of, again, the literal timelines. Like there are police, freaking time travel police and shit like that. You get what I'm saying? Like that shit is honestly super cool when you break it down. When you genuinely break it all down, it's like, yeah, there's evil. It's so much negativity within this world. There's so much evil within this world, but things are changing for the better. Again, that evil is that darkness is balancing itself out a lot more. We're starting to understanding a lot more. We're starting to understanding ourselves a lot more and how we come from that same darkness that we try to judge a lot of times. There's no telling who you were, what version of yourself you inhabited at a point in time. Do you first have to be a demon to even know what it is to become an angel, to even know what it is to sit that high up in that high rank? Could an angel really be an angel without experiencing that version and that in depths of darkness? I don't think so, personally. The only way you can never go back to it is to once know what it was. That's just how I feel. If you don't know what it is, you're going to always be tempted by it. And you're going to go into that temptation because it's for you to experience so that you can learn from it. But that is all that I have for you guys. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. And I hope that everyone is, again, staying prayed up and blessed and having a beautiful day. My bookings are open for anyone wanting to book a reading. You can contact me on my Instagram at uno.neo144. And you can email as well. My email is in the description box. Love and light to you guys.